What's up, guys? Welcome to this casual Hueycoatl guide. In this guide, I'm going to show you how to do some basic Huey kills. We're not going to pay attention to anything super sweaty, as this is a guide for beginners. So let's give a breakdown of the equipment that we're going to be using to kill the Hueycoatl today. The best in slot weapon for the Hueycoatl would be the Dragon Hunter Lance because of the passive damage bonus that it receives against dragons. So Hueycoatl is a dragon. The amulet that we're going to be using is the Torture. You do not have to have a Torture. You can use a Fury. I'm going to be using the Tyrannical Ring Imbued because it gives a +8 bonus to Crush. And the Hueycoatl's Crush defense is actually 0. So you could say that it is weak to Crush weapons. The gloves are going to be Ferocious for the melee attack bonuses, but again, you can pretty much get away with wearing any type of gloves here. The boots are going to be Dragon just because they're pretty decent, and the Primeval boots are marginally better at upgrade, but they're like 20 mil. The armor that we're going to be wearing is the Blood Moon armor set with the dual Hueycoatls for the Blood Rage set effect, which allows you to attack a couple ticks faster or 1 tick faster when the set effect kicks in. This will be invaluable on the shield phase when you are doing chip damage to the shielded tail. And then lastly, for the cape, you can wear whatever cape you want, but I use the Infernal cape. So now that we've gone through the gear breakdown, let's go through the inventory, because Wikipedia has like its standard amount of prayer potions that you should be using when you're doing Huey. I've done Huey a few times. I've got maybe 25 kills as a beginner, all solo, and it says 15 prayer potions, so I just decided to bring 15 prayer potions for this particular guide. But I usually only use like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 a kill if I'm like really blasting prayer. You can see I got the Hueycoatls, the Divine Super Combat Potion, and 10 Shark. The rune pouch is just there. I just like to leave my rune pouch in my inventory, but you don't have to have it. You can replace it with something else, like a special attack weapon, if you got it, Dragon Claws, whatever, Void Waker, whatever. Alright, so going into the Huey is done in phases. Phase 1 is going to be I call it the mountain phase, where you have to do 250 damage to each one of Huey's exposed tail parts here. You can see that the attacks are going to be the lightning glyphs on the floor, and then the auto attacks, which Wiki calls it raining fire. But it's basically the Huey throwing its feathers at you, and they become like attacks, and you can pray against them. Now, we'll show you what happens when you don't pray correctly. You can see that they actually do damage. You can see, and I don't think they hit higher than 13. Somebody will have to check the wiki on that. But basically, they come at random intervals, and you can just pray against them. And generally, you want to use... This is why I recommended Lance, and why Wikipedia says you should use Lance. Everybody should use a Lance at Huey, because doing this phase with like other weapons is stupid slow, because you're doing 250 DPS worth of damage. And you need something that's going to hit stupidly accurate and hard, because this takes a long time, and you got to deal with this like 4 or 5 times. I think there are 5 of these on the mountain, and you're generally just trying to kill all of them while you are dodging the lightning on the floor and praying against the auto attacks. Each one of these has like a deceptively small hitbox. You can kind of sort of see it. It's like a yellow outline, but just clicking on the mountain or the little thing around it won't make you hit it. You have to click on the exact hitbox. It's very deceptive. There's a couple of plugins on RuneLite that will fix this problem, so that you will always click just the part that you're supposed to click to be able to hit it. But I'm on mobile because I just prefer mobile gaming, and it's kind of tough to do this, and sometimes when I press it, I don't click it correctly. So that's just something to look out for if you're doing Huey on the mobile client. And you can see it's pretty straightforward. You just hit it, pray against the attacks that come, and then step off of the lightning attack, which is going to be telegraphed to show up a few seconds before it hits. You can kind of delay and get one more hit from your lance before you have to step off of it, and I've done that a lot, but it takes a lot of practice, and a lot of people can't get it. Huey is one of those bosses that's going to make you really good at stepping on and off things and make you really good at anticipating attacks and how many ticks they are away from you. Because essentially, a good part of the fight is going to be skipping tiles to avoid the tremors, which I'm going to show you guys how to do. I'm not 100% going to always do it perfectly, but usually like 90% of the time I get this. And it comes down to timing and to an extent having your camera zoomed out, especially a certain way. If you're on mobile, it might be easier for you to see this on your computer. I have a trash ass Chromebook, so I'm never going to try to play RuneScape on that. I mean, you can't play RuneScape on Chromebook, and I literally have a video on my YouTube that actually shows you how to get it on Chromebook, but it's not something you should use for bossing, especially high-level bossing. So once you've gone through all of the exposed tail parts on the mountain, you're going to see, if you have your audio on, you're going to hear a loud ding. And that's going to let you know that you've actually finished the phase and you've done enough damage to qualify for a drop. But since this is solo, you're doing all the damage, so of course you're going to get, the drop. So once the Huey's tail is completely retracted through the mountain, then you can run up through the mountain. Trying to run to the top before the tail has gone all the way through will make your character run towards a chain, which is literally the other way. Now we're into phase 2, which is the main head. And you treat it basically the same way that you treat the exposed tail. You step off the lightning glyphs, and you pray against auto attacks while hitting the Hueycoatl in the face with the lance. And the lance does a lot of damage. I've smashed out 50s, 60s with this thing. It's really good. I mean, it's designed to destroy dragons, but like in particular, a lot of people say, well, why don't you use the Dragon Hunter crossbow? And the answer is that the Hueycoatl has like plus 300 range defense. So even with the Dragon Hunter crossbow, you will barely hit. And I think I may have even used that in a few examples, just testing it out when I first started and was like, why am I not hitting? 99, range on my alt, 99 range on my alt, rigor. I'm not hitting the Hueycoatl. So I jump on the main, start doing it with the lance, go to Wikipedia, find out, hey, the range defense is too high and nobody ranges this boss. So don't range Hueycoatl. I've seen people use the Dragon Hunter wand here, and I don't understand that either, because the Hueycoatl has pretty high magic defense. This is a boss that you should be meleeing. Use the lance, or hell, a fucking scythe, Osmopton's Fang. If you're really flat broke, you can get away with using the Tentacle Whip, but really you should be using melee. And you can see here the hit point bar is going down pretty quick, or as quick as you can save for a fucking 10-minute long kill or whatever. Doing this thing is like soloing the corp, but without all of the annoying shit of using special attacks on the corp to turn it into a chicken. Once you guys get to around half hit points, there's going to be like a mechanic that kicks in that not a lot of people are aware of. They may even say that it doesn't matter, but like to me, I think it's important. So once you get to around maybe 1300 hit points, you want to take your lance off and switch to the Hueycoatls. This is because the lance's offensive stat that is the highest would be its stab bonus. And you typically want to have your crush bonus be the highest bonus, because if your crush bonus is the highest bonus, when you phase into this phase, you will get a buff on the shield that will allow you to hit higher. So instead of your cap being 4 damage with your chosen weapon, it'll be 9, and you'll be able to hit and get through the shield a little faster. And you can see I switched to the Hueycoatls because they have a higher... Now we're going to explain the tile skipping thing. So basically how you tile skip: when the tremor attack hits, the Hueycoatl's tail will slam the floor and it will send a little blue shockwave. You want to wait until the shockwave is about 3 tiles ahead of you, I think, or 2 tiles. I think it's 3. And then you want to just click straight through it, and this will make your character literally run straight through it like that. And then, you treat the tail the same way that you treat the head. Step off the lightning that hits the floor and pray against the auto attacks that the Huey is throwing at you. Now you can see here that the damage is capped here, so you can't smash a massive monkey slap hits on that. So you have to have a weapon that hits really quick. And you can see I messed that up there. because I actually moved when it was one tile away, I think. But basically, you want to avoid, if you can, the most important thing to worry about in this particular case is actually the lightning on the floor. And the reason why I feel like the lightning is more dangerous than the earthquake thing is because the lightning can spawn in a row in front of you or behind you or to the side of you, and you may not have your only cleared tile maybe stepping through a lightning tile. I think you can actually skip lightning tiles, and I've done it. It involves you moving off of the tile that you're on before the attack hits you. And then you can see you just run through the tremor like that, and you can just smash the tail. It takes practice, guys. I've seen people just run straight ahead when the tail goes into the mountain, and you want to know that you're doing it correctly when you start moving as soon as the tail becomes invisible or is no longer visible like that. But basically, this is how you do the tail. This is the slowest part of the fight that bottlenecks your DPS, and a lot of people who try to solo the Huey mess this part up because it takes so long. And you can see, even though I have all those prayer potions in my inventory, I'm not really using a lot of prayer, because you can really conserve a lot of prayer by just turning your overhead prayer off and only turning it on when you need it, which is kind of like prayer flicking. I guess that counts as prayer flicking. Blech. Yeah, so yeah, I don't really need to have it on if I'm not being attacked. And you can see I only turn it on when the attacks hit me. I skip through the tremor, and then I turn the prayer off. This helps me conserve prayer points. So then once you guys have gotten through the tail, here comes the final phase, which is the enrage phase. Now this phase kind of is hairy, but I'll show you guys the best way, easiest way to do it as a casual if you're new. So how I do this is I typically stand on the side where the tremors are not going to come from, and then I run all the way to the farthest tile because the tremors will never reach that tile. And then while I'm running away from the tremors, I have my Freya turned on to block the auto attack, and then I immediately attack the Huey. This causes me to step off the safe tile, and I'm immediately hitting. And then I typically just kind of sort of kite my way back across the arena while I'm praying. And then as you can see, the tiles, the farthest tile, click off, and then back on Huey. And then basically it's just a bunch of running back and forth. When the thing hits the ground like that, you want to start moving. And then you can just run through it like that. Boom. So you can see there that it's kind of sort of similar to tile skipping, but it's not, because you're basically standing on a tile that they will never reach. And you have to watch your prayer and, plot, because you can get the little lightning attack to spawn on the tile that the tremors won't reach. So you can't necessarily just camp on that one tile. You have to be on that tile when the tremors reach the edge of the arena. But you can step off of it like that, and you can skip through it if you don't make it. And then you just, basically do this the rest of the kill until the end. At this point, I think the Huey's attack speed increases. So it's going to feel harder. It's similar to, like, the Wardens. When you get to the end, and then there's it buffs that hit point, gives that hit point boost, and then the tiles start ripping up off the floor. You're basically just doing a bunch of running and skipping through shit. And that's basically it. Although I don't think you can skip through the lightning attacks in the Warriors. I think they do hit you if you're standing on them. So, this is very, to me, it's like chill. It's not super sweaty. There are people that are Wiki says you could probably do this in 8 minutes. I probably do it in 10 to 12, and I get maybe 4 to 5 kills an hour if I'm lucky, Huey makes you good money. It makes okay money. It's not the best thing ever, but for a solo boss that doesn't see a lot of, competition from people, the fact that you can dodge 90% of the attacks, you can save a lot of supplies, you can get your Huey kill up. You see I got some garbage there, but there's always a chance for stuff like the lance or the hide or the pet, which is fun. So I hope this has been a very informative guide for you guys to get your casual Hueycoatl kills. And good luck with hunting the Huey, guys. Hope you guys get some loot, because I didn't get anything this particular kill, but that's okay. That's okay. There's always next time.